These scientists affirm that Cuba's hurricane disasters were caused by HAARP. HAARP is a big inter-university project. From a scientific perspective, it shouldn't have any link to the military for usage of these technologies. HAARP studies high and low frequency waves. The most recent application concerns the high frequency. It was born as a scientific project, but there is a small issue with it. Since the beginning, the main financier of the project is the Pentagon. As we used to say in the International Intelligence Convention, if the CIA is involved, something stinks. So, what is the purpose of HAARP? Its purpose is to research the high-frequency waves transmission to see how they affect the rockets and the satellite systems and some natural systems such as the ionosphere and stratosphere in order to control the influence caused by these waves. We have to consider that the whole American area is liable to hurricanes and tornadoes, so it's liable to the most extreme weather conditions. Before, you just had to dump some silver nitrate or any other agent from an airplane to bend the tornado's cone as if you were steering a vehicle. The problem was that these experiments, carried out with good intentions, didn't generate any profit, which is the only industry with enough resources to help the development of these research projects, the war industry. But think about the staggering progresses made by medical science to base hospitals. It may appear a paradox, but, like in a cycle, the war comes back to the starting point. Just like it happens in a game of Monopoly, when you pass go, you bring something important. On the other hand, the price paid was too high, so maybe it wasn't necessary. The problem with the climatic war case is that HAARP became a reference point that can be unleashed upon someone, like an opponent. What really happens inside this fabulous laboratory is hard to say, because it's obviously covered with the utmost secrecy. Some people claim it depletes the ozone layer, because the electrical generators used inside it would be able to affect the ionosphere and cause huge damage. It isn't easy to simply condemn it. It is understandable that there are political demonstrations that tend to criminalize certain experiments. It was an American scientist that accused the Russians of permanent climatic modifications in the central states of the US. But there is an experience that suggests something to us. If the Americans assign to the Russians a terrible power, that means they already have it or are close to achieving it. As the ongoing climate changes worry us, we are inclined to assign it something of great importance. I consider this as the big door that could let in any sort of influence or ideology. I wouldn't call it terror, because it sounds too akin to terrorism, closer to the word fear. We are moving towards a world that will be progressively more afraid. Is fear a weapon? If we consider weapons everything that can produce fear, we can automatically insert it in that list. The emotional impact caused by a sky marked by these unknown trails is increased by the fact that they can be interpreted in a lot of different ways. All of them indemonstrable, as all the hypotheses made until now are valid. Concerning chemical trails, I'll tell the truth. I tried to study this phenomenon in depth. Now I'll say something that could bother someone. I used to think it was a swindle too. But the pictures we can find online are really dreadful because the trails intersect regularly.
What is sure is that it's not a mysterious phenomenon like some people may think. These trails are produced by the airplanes, especially the military ones, and in the course of time they have changed their appearance. That's why I've said this phenomenon is real and it strongly concerns the citizens. Therefore, the citizens need to be informed. Who has to do that? The government, through the appropriate ministers, both the environment and the defense. If it was such a trivial issue, it wouldn't have been raised throughout the world. For instance, I know that in the US, the government made an investigation concerning this subject, and there the conclusions weren't exhaustive either. Probably there's something related to military activities that I think isn't shocking. The real problem is that when there are experiments and phenomena of this type, the government of the country is the first to be aware of them. In any case, the citizens should be reassured by saying they are experiments or whatever they are. But they are not a concern for the health of the citizens.
I cannot say the difference between the ones caused by the condensation and the ones left up there on purpose. I cannot speak on the ones left there on purpose, or what the purpose is. I mean, why are they left there?
The most worrying thing for me is the fact that we didn't receive convincing answers.
I think that often exhaustive answers are not given because the knowledge of these phenomena is very limited. This situation increases the number of suspects. I understand the authorities' approach much more, not to give any explanation rather than totally deny. Think about the UFOs. They have never been categorically denied by anyone. If ever there was a huge fraud that can be used at a macroscopic level, it is UFOs. Why isn't there appropriate research financed by a corporation or company? Let's do serious research. Tell me where these chemtrails are, and with an airplane we'll fly there to analyze these trails. Is that so difficult?
If there isn't anything to hide, I don't understand why not to say to the citizens, you don't have to worry because these visual trails don't affect in any way the health nor the climate. If no one does this, it's probably because there is the answer that it is better not to properly discuss the issue, or that it is better not to give any answer at all.
A military machine is similar to the mechanism of an organization. Unfortunately, everybody becomes a number in this combination. Obviously, an algebraic variation cannot change anything where the algebraic result is hardly variable. The wish is to find wise and conscientious people in high command roles, people who are able to accomplish their mission in the best way. The tragedy is that in wartime, the leading principle, à la guerre comme à la guerre, to use a French expression concerning ethics and any other value, is doomed to be put aside. It's like a football match that has to be won, any cost. An act of heroism made by someone who is not in harmony with the rest of the scenario has a romantic appeal, but it is not in the conditions to modify anything. An act of passion from those in command would be necessary.
Every person has his own will. Every commander has his own autonomy. Every commander has to be responsible for his own men. Good commanders are able to achieve a goal, keeping an eye on the loss. A good commander is able to oppose an order or even to change it. Basically, people's autonomy is one of resistance. I also think that when you are really involved in a conflict, the reactions can be quite different.
When we find something able to dissolve the concept of war, and we see it in daily relationships, if each one of us decides not to make war to all the people around us, probably this thing could become fabulously contagious. I don't know how many of us could have these purposes, also because we experience injustice daily. We accept to get a job by pulling strings. That is already a gesture of war, because we trample on the dreams of who was hoping to achieve a certain goal. That is already a gesture of war, because we trample on the dreams of those who are hoping to achieve a certain goal. I have always been optimistic. I am sure that the good guys at the end win, the same as in the movies. To wish for a happy ending is a common wish. I have to say that we should use the difficult times to rediscover the real values. Probably we could rediscover our identity. It's a matter of identity. If we are able to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, I am a good person too, maybe we could be tempted to really become good.